on your favorite podcast provider. You are most definitely my people. Welcome to another episode of Botched and Chair Shots. I am your host, a chef by trade and a mark by choice. I am the Will Gray, and joining us tonight, he is the host of the #1 wrestling and #1 horror podcast on the Pornhub. He is the driving force behind Creation World with Lord Cussalot. He is the patron saint of podcasting, but most importantly, he is my personal Pornhub poppy. Fuck Matt Ridder. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Matt Ridder.
Despite what the screen says, I don't know if anyone can see that. I am not the rack. I just forgot to change that since he was the last one to come and use the stream with Allison for her debut episode. So yeah.
No, it says it's corrected on the actual stream. So
okay.
That's just on your guys' end on the chat. And directly below me on the screen is 1/4 of the Wrestle Talk Wolfpack. He is the host and my counterpart for the World Championship Wreckage Pod. He is everybody's favorite Dadhat wearing Justin. He is Dadhat Wrestling. Dadhat,
what's going on? I'm good. I'm glad to be here closing out the weekend.
It's a good night. It's been a really good weekend. I'm glad you're both here. So yeah, I'm ready to chat about some wrestling. And always, perched upon her iron throne in the boss bitch's corner, she is the Hova to my Beyonce. She's the Bonnie to my Clyde. She is the brains behind the operation. She is the boss bitch, Miss Allison. Al, how are you?
I'm good. I'm concerned at how perplexed Ridder looks right now.
What about?
Well, because there are chat filters in here that I didn't realize, and I was wondering why they censored Neanderthal when Katie typed in Neanderthal. Like, is that?
You gotta log into your Twitch.
Tommy.
Yeah, what's up, Tommy? Well,
it changed. Like Twitch changes. Like if you change devices, you gotta reset your things. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's all tech stuff. Apparently, Matt does not like Streamlabs. None.
This is my first time using it or seeing the interface or anything. It's so different.
It's something.
Have you not been on since we switched the programs?
Nah.
Well, since you're here, you both have done this before. I'm going to let either of you jump in here real fast. I always ask the same question, start every episode. Gentlemen, what has you pissed off for greatness this week in pro wrestling? What has you the most worked up? It could be anything. Dadhat, you want to tee off?
Yeah, sure. So it was, Friday we had the draft, and to quote, try to quote Triple H, it was going to shake the foundation. It was going to change up everything. And what has me pissed off for greatness is the fact that NXT was not technically involved in it. Like, there should have been a representation from NXT saying NXT drafts this person. I know it's not going to be like NXT chooses Roman Reigns or, Cody Rhodes, but there should have been some type of representation where NXT was making draft picks to go to that show. And that's got me pissed off.
I'm very close to Dadhat. It also has to do with the draft. Triple H talked dirty to me. He said things like Roman's going to go to one brand and stay there, and made it sound like we were going to have separate, definitive brand split. And then they said we have free agents who could show up on either show.
Or both.
Yeah. And anyone who listens to the Smack and Raw podcast knows how I feel about them skating around a fucking brand split and allowing people to show up on both shows or either shows. I don't care if you have a set of tag team titles and they need to go back and forth, just the champions. But people jumping back and forth between shows when they're supposed to be a definitive brand split, Raw and SmackDown, pisses me off. And until this is all sussed out and I figure out what's going on, it all just seems like another loophole that they're going to use to shuffle guys around. And it's not even important people. It's fucking Dolph Ziggler and Omos and Ali.
If we get 4 or 5 weeks down the line and they're like, it's now time for the superstar shakeup, I'm like, why do you even do this?
I agree.
That was one of my biggest questions about the whole thing was I wanted to make sure that there was a legitimate brand split. And Matt, that's one of the our recent run in pro wrestling hasn't been, we've been on a separate path as of late. But that's one thing we can both agree on is I hope they stay to a strict brand split, and they've already set it up to where it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
I still wish they would treat the the brands almost like territories. Have one set of tag champs, one set of or one world champ, and literally, okay, they're on SmackDown competing for say a month, and then they go over to NXT and compete for a month. Then they go to Raw. Like treat them as territories. But I'm old, so
And that's on my list.
Being old?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what my pissed off for greatness is. We'll get there in a second. It's not my turn yet. Al?
I'm going to keep going with the draft theme, and I'm going to do this one for our buddy Matt Ridder. Why are they treating Riddle like he's some like hotshot and like having him be in like the first round? Like, you've been gone like on drug rehab for forever. Like, why are he's coming back to like open arms and being like treated like he's a king? I don't like other people that have gone out for the same reasons have had to earn their way back, and he's just like, here's everything.
I think it seemed weird that they interjected him in their biggest story of the last 2 decades with him, other than the semi-feud he had with Solo before he got out of action. Like, he had nothing to do with this. Him and Randy go back to the original unification match 2 years ago at WrestleMania, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, that's how far back, other than that little bit of Solo stuff. It just seemed weird that he just got plug and played straight into their biggest story.
Or the fact that he got drafted before former WWE champion Drew McIntyre.
yeah. Hey, I mean, I know she wasn't eligible and everything, but Becky in that first round, I was like, I know, like, shouldn't your champions just be automatically like eligible for the first round? Like, who cares? Like, Rhea not drafted yet, to me is just a joke.
That is really weird that they didn't draft Rhea. It's like, we obviously know she's
I don't
going...
like the eligibility thing.
Yeah,
It's just
we
weird.
obviously know she's going to Raw because Bianca's on SmackDown. I'm sure they're going to do what they did with Charlotte and Becky and have some weird, awkward belt exchange. I don't know.
So the issue with that, which sucks for us as viewing fans, is you're on 2 separate networks, and those 2 separate networks want stars on both their draft shows. So they have to split up the champions in that way. That's why Austin Theory's not eligible. That's why Rhea Ripley's not eligible. That's why the women's tag champs aren't eligible, so that Monday Night Raw and USA get champions to be drafted on their show too, so it's fair for everybody. When everything was just under the NBC banner and it was all on NBC programming, USA, blah, 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 they could do whatever they wanted. It didn't matter. Now you got to split between Fox and NBC to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
I just don't think a brand split works in 2023 the way they want it to.
A brand split hasn't worked for fucking ever, Will, the way that they quote unquote want it to, because they can't do it.
They're like, oh, this storyline's not working. We need to pull this person from that other show. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Now, if they actually stick to it, and then we get supposedly the, Raw exclusive pay-per-views, SmackDown exclusive, and they actually stick to it, okay. But I'll believe it when I see it.
And you don't need to do 2 a month. You can do 1 Raw 1 month, 1 Raw or 1 SmackDown the next month, and that way you have, a month and a half, 2 months to actually build your stories to make your pay-per-views mean something.
Fair.
Well, what has me pissed off for greatness this week is, and this is going to sound silly because it's going to make me sound old, but it was a TikTok.
Sorry.
not yours. It wasn't even Marissa's, the person's that we stitched on. It's this, like, no matter what in the wrestling community, there always has to be tribalism. You know what I mean? If it's not WWE versus AEW, then it's, this versus that. But this week's flavor of ice cream was old wrestling fans versus young wrestling fans or new wrestling fans. And I'm like, why? Why is this something that has to be talked about? Why can't we just like wrestling? Like, it just seems silly sometimes to me, like the things people choose to get upset about.
Is it because you're an old wrestling fan and you felt attacked?
No, Matt. I wasn't. No. Me? Dramatic and upset about something that I wasn't even involved in?
In an MJF scarf? No, not you.
I just felt like, different doesn't mean wrong. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it just seemed weird to me. It seemed like a really odd thing to get upset about.
I agree.
Now, yeah, you did ask us to give you a pro wrestling to get you fired up about. And now that you made that point, allow me to point out for all you old wrestling fans that different doesn't mean wrong.
It's a good way to put it.
So when all these old wrestling fans tout about how wrestling should be, this is how it was back in the 70s and the 80s, and this is the right way to do it, and they're not doing it right nowadays, different doesn't mean wrong.
Times also change.
Evolutions and stuff happen in the sports.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm going to go to an NFL game and just start yelling at old fans and be like...
Is that how they did it back in your day, asshole? I just asked a wrestler, Matt, not too long ago in one of my interviews, just to throw the show completely off the rails now. One of my recent questions that I've started asking is, do you think wrestling has evolved the way other sports have, where like in baseball, they say you can't compare what Aaron Judge is doing now to what Babe Ruth was doing in the early 1900s because the sport has evolved so much. So I've started asking, do you think the sport has evolved from what it was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s to 2023 to where you can't compare? It's not even an apples to oranges comparison anymore. And you'd be amazed how many people are starting to go, yeah, I think it has.
I agree.
Well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Al. I'm going to send it up
Al?
to you. Let's knock out some news and rumors. And then I've got some stuff to kind of close out April with. And we'll rock and roll with it.
Cool. Eric Bischoff calls CM Punk a piece of garbage and a desperate little bitch for going to WWE Raw. He was also seen at Impact tapings in Chicago.
Well, you decided to come out of the fucking gate with it, didn't you?
So CM Punk has been, visiting lots of people this week.
Allow me to just say that someone that sucked Hulk Hogan's dick for so long that it was no longer tan by the end of the run of WCW, calling anyone any sort of names or any sort of bitches, someone who has, in a desperate attempt to stay relevant, started beef with Tony Khan, and pretty much anyone and everyone that will even look his way if it can get him a little bit of his spotlight back, seeing as I'm guessing running down all the shit he did in WCW that made it great and then suck isn't working for him anymore. Has anything to say about CM Punk or anyone else? I don't give two shits. Like, fuck you, Eric Bischoff. Okay. He's a little bitch. Sure. Yeah. He went to say hi to some people. He tried to mend some fences. He's trying to maybe redeem himself and be a better person. And yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. No, he sucks. All right.
It really just every time his name pops up, it just makes me go, you are just so upset that you're not involved in some big capacity in the world of professional wrestling that you have to make sure your name gets out there in some way. Like, he just has to make sure that, hey, don't forget, this is what Bischoff thinks. Sorry, you had an attempt to, build a foundation with AEW. Didn't happen. WWE doesn't want you right now. So, like, it's just his way of getting, making sure people like, hey, don't forget, I have an opinion too, and I'm Eric Bischoff, and because I'm Eric Bischoff, you should listen to me, and I just don't give it two shits.
I feel like Punk is that same way, though. Like, it's like,
Oh,
hey, guys, don't forget, like, I'm still here, I'm over here, let me do something to cause some drama, or be talked about, let me show up at Raw, like, because I know someone's going to tweet about it. It's like, he's trying himself also to stay relevant. So they're kind of the same in that...
I disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree.
That's why I was like, you didn't even give us a chance. You just went straight. And I know what's next on your list, too. Like, you chose this poorly. How well do you know Matt? Like, did you intentionally try to make him mad? Are you going to try to make him to where he's not going to be my friend anymore? He's going to start asking me like he used to when he had a different colored pair of shoes on in the assistant guest host, where he's like, is he going to be on tonight? Because I'm not okay with coming.
Hey, I just pull up the news, but I do feel like Punk does a lot to try to, like, I'm not saying that he's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying he does a lot to make sure that he stays in everybody's mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, he was out of wrestling for so long. They invited him back in on 2 different occasions. He came back in. Everything went down. And out of everyone, he was the one that stayed silent. He was the one that kept his mouth shut and minded his business and took his, his leave and wasn't doing interviews and wasn't saying shit and blah, 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 as everyone else was running their mouths and Chris Jericho's in the back saying he's this and everyone's talking shit about him. He sat back and he didn't do his thing. The moment he goes and says something like, hey, if you're in a company and you're unhappy with the creative, you should leave, and then shows up to support the women who did that, like Sasha and Naomi over in Impact, and people snap pictures of him. It's, he's just there for the spotlight. Maybe he was just trying to be supportive of some people that did something that he did that maybe he gave advice to, who took his advice and he wanted to show his support for them. Maybe after sitting down and hashing things out with Jericho, because he was forced to, so that he could come back and wrestle again, because he got ran out of wrestling with his injury by, that whole thing. And I'm not saying he was right for what he said in the media scrum. I'm also not going to say I didn't agree with everything he said, but I'm not going to say he wasn't wrong for saying it in front of everybody.
Right.
But, he did this to mend fences, to come back, to wrestle, to do these things, to be a part of AEW, which I think he truly does believe in. And then he goes to Raw and wants to say hi to some people. It's been a while. He's back in wrestling, and now everyone's like, oh, he's just there, to get attention on him. And he's just there. He got kicked out of the building after he had 15 minutes to say hi, and then he got kicked out. Yeah. It's not like he started a fight. He didn't go back there and do anything. He didn't, make fucking TMZ news out of it. He just stopped in to say hi to some people. If he had gone and started shit, if he had gone and caused the problem, he'd be like, you know what, Allison, you're right. He is just trying to get his name out there. He's doing what Eric Bischoff is doing.
No,
he's running his goddamn mouth just to be relevant, but he didn't. So
very similar. He does troll a bit, though. You can't say that he doesn't.
We're all from Chicago. We're all fucking assholes.
I was going to ask. My next question was going to be, Matt, just out of curiosity, where are you from?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with him going to other shows. Like, I don't see any problem with that. But I do think that there is a piece of him that says, I know that this is going to make news. Like, yes, he's going to support his friends, but if it also gets me a little bit of attention, meh.
It's one of those professional courtesy things. If you're under contract with another company, it's like before you go into, it's talking about the territories again. Before somebody from Memphis would go into Jim Crockett Promotions, they would call Jim Crockett first and be like, yo, we're going to come into the Carolinas and run a show. Are you cool with it?
Yeah.
In 2023, the version of that is, hey, Trips, I want to come say hi to everybody. Is it cool? Like, maybe give them a heads up first and not just show up. You're not you don't work there. You're not under contract. So I'm going to sit on the fence post. You know what I mean?
I mean, somebody had to let him backstage. I can't just walk backstage and start walking around talking to wrestlers and say hi. Somebody let him in.
I disagree a little bit, because there are points where you can just walk backstage. If you know your arenas, I mean, I'm not necessarily glorifying doing illegal things here, ladies and gentlemen. That's not who I am. But
Will text me next week. Bail me out. I did what I said not to do.
When I made the TikTok about like hey, what are you doing? It's like nothing. I'm just hanging around. It's like when a promoter catches me just hanging out in the locker room, like, risk it for the biscuit, baby. I ain't scared.
Yeah. See, I take it from a different side of things, looking at everything. And I said this Wednesday on the Wolfpack. If we do get, which it seems like we're going to get, Punk back in AEW.
That's all but confirmed, pretty much.
Yeah, right. So we're getting that coming down the line. I kind of look at this as maybe all right, well, if I'm not in AEW, and I want to be on the main market to make the most money with the limited amount of time I have left to be able to do this job. WWE is that market, and I need to start playing nice, because I think if he still does have heat and beef and friction with the Bucks and Kenny and all of that, at that point he might realize I'm only going to be in one position with this company with those people in charge. I might need to go ahead and lay some nice seeds in this garden over here, because I might have to go play in that garden.
I agree. And I mean, also you look at AJ Lee, I don't know if her relationship to him stunts any potential interest WWE has in inducting her into a Hall of Fame or bringing her back or anything, but it's also maybe laying some nice groundwork to be like, hey, I'm sorry, things happen, blah blah blah, let's put it behind us. And that might allow her to start getting away from wherever the fuck she's at and doing the things she's doing.
Wow.
Yeah,
she's
that's
wow.
still a thing. And work her way back into WWE and do some things with them.
Yeah. Well, moving on.
Oh, great. Now what?
She's smiling.
Trinity Fatu debuts in Impact.
Good for her.
I know. I'm so she made a big speech. It hasn't been released yet. So what is that? What is that, Matt?
What? I didn't say anything.
It's the face. It's the face.
Matt, when was the last time you watched Impact?
Roxanne Perez's last match is Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and I literally just watched that match to find out who Roxanne Perez was.
I love you.
She said that she feels like she's wanted there, and it was such a warm welcome. So she's super happy to be there. I think it's a good place for her, honestly.
There's an inside joke, by the way, that Matt says there's only 5 people that watch Impact, and me and Allison are 2 of them. So
if I had access to it, I would watch it, but I just don't. My watching Impact is Twitter clips, like what they tweet.
That is exactly the majority of the world's Impact watching habits. While I love to see her getting back into wrestling and finding a home, I think she's worth more than 10 views a week. So I think she could do better. But no, I mean, if she's happy there, they're going to pay her. She's going to make some money. She's going to do her thing. They're going to let her wrestle. That's a big thing. Mm-hmm. Impact will let her wrestle. So yeah, good for her.
That's my concern, though, with her in Impact, because, she's not a bad wrestler. But from what I have watched and try to keep up with Impact, they have, to me, the best in-ring women's product of anywhere. And she's not bad, but she's not at top tier. So I'm like, are you going to get kind of showed up real quick with your ability with some people who are there?
Tasha Steelz Naomi Knockouts Tag Teams Champions. Perfect way to elevate that mid-card.
Oh, I do like that, yeah.
And honestly, their travel schedule isn't nearly as vigorous, and it gives her more time to be at home with the kids, and then she can, travel a little bit more, with her husband. Obviously she'll be backstage and stuff, but, it allows her a little bit more downtime than she had in WWE. She says that it was a blessing in disguise, and that she's excited for the future, for her to leave WWE. So, she's very happy. So,
we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't see because I'm not watching, but I mean, I'll hear about it.
I think she's, like I said, she's a perfect way to elevate that mid-card in an already standout knockouts division. I agree with Dadhat that I've been preaching for a long time that I think the knockouts division is one of the best booked women's divisions in the world. It's up there with Stardom and New Japan, hands down. Scott D'Amore is killing it. Impact's as a whole is really stepping up, and I think they're starting to find their footing as a studio wrestling show instead of a live arena show. So I think that's primo for them.
Cool. Roddy Strong shows up in AEW despite the fact that he is still listed as an active member of WWE on their website. They may have taken it down since.
Changed on Thursday.
It finally changed. So on Wednesday when he debuted, he was still listed as being active in WWE.
Yeah, I still can't hear out of one ear from Jack Schilling in my ear live when it happened on our Wednesday podcast. Like, he lost his mind. And it's cool to see. I mean, I don't want them rehashing WWE, but the Undisputed Era, to me, was one of my favorite things in the last 10 years. And I hate that it's boats passing in the night. Like, we had Fish and O'Reilly and Cole there without Roddy. Now we've got Roddy. Fish is doing whatever Fish is, maybe doing.
Fish things in
Japan.
Japan.
So I just hate that it's been these ships passing in the night, because those four together. I mean, I'm gonna steal a quote from my buddy Self Bet, but it's the closest thing WWE ever had to in the modern era of a four horseman is the Undisputed Era.
I actually saw that clip on TikTok, and I really enjoyed him screaming in your ear. It was a nice little clip.
Oh my
gosh.
Jack was a great guy. Yeah, I like Roddy. I'm not opposed to it.
I've heard that he's been signed for a little while now, and they were just keeping it under wraps. Which, props to them for being able to keep anything under wraps in this day and age, and especially signing.
It was nice to have a surprise.
Yeah,
like that's what it should be.
Especially because, like, I watched Dynamite all fucked up on Wednesday. So, like, I watched like the beginning of it, and then I went and did something, and I came back. And when I came back, I looked, and Roddy Strong was just beating people up in the ring, and I'm like, what the fuck did I miss? So I had to, like, go back, and which I was going to have to do anyway, but rewatch everything to get caught up. So that was cool.
Really will. How much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? Clever.
I didn't make that up. That was a Riddle thing. But it makes me, every time he gets brought up, that's what I think about.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought Allison was going to be the one that made me stop coming on the show.
Oh.
You're out here quoting Riddle in the fucking comments.
Hey, I cussed within the first 25 seconds so I could say fuck Matt Riddle in your favor.
You did.
I do it the same way every time because I love you, Mateo.
Hopefully more than you love Riddle rhymes.
Riddle rhymes.
Much more than I love Riddle rhymes.
Kevin Nash has come out in support of trans rights, says Rick Steiner was wrong for the incident with Giselle Shaw. Good for Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash is my guy, man.
I love Kevin Nash, yeah.
I've got to meet him in person. You can barely see it, but there's a giant picture directly behind me, and at the very top is Kevin Nash as a vampire, and slightly below it is me as a vampire from little indie movie that I was lucky enough to go check out and get cast as an extra in and spend a little time talking to him. My wife, even though having not really officially met him, has always called him Uncle Kevin because of the sort of pseudo relationship that we have, because he remembers me every time I see him and stuff like that. And he's a fucking great guy. I love Kevin Nash. And probably the sexiest man to ever step foot in the ring.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Are we going to rehash this out right now?
We are, and I won, so I don't know why you're fighting me.
I will restart this count. We will have this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Again.
Who did you say, Shawn Michaels?
The sexiest person to ever live is Michael Shawn Hickenbottom. Shawn Michaels, period, is the best looking wrestler to ever live. There's no question about it.
I would say it's Kevin Nash in the 90s and in 2023. Absolutely Kevin Nash. If you put those two next to each other, you got fucking lazy eye Nick Gage versus sexy ass Kevin Nash. Come on now.
I mean, you're both wrong, but that's fine.
Who do you think the best looking wrestler is, Al?
Roman Reigns is the best looking wrestler of all times.
Have you seen pictures of Kevin Nash from like the 90s and...
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Roman Reigns is the best looking wrestler. Period.
I mean, I'm over here just thinking about Gigi Dolan, so I mean, okay.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
no, but if we're going with that, sorry, Will, you know you're my boy, but I gotta go Kevin Nash here on that. Like, wow. Sorry, like.
Chat, chime in. Let me know who's better looking, Nash or Michaels.
It's Roman.
Who's better looking, Sexy Boy or Big Sexy?
Wow, Matt, that sounds really biased. Gigi is always the correct answer, says Katie.
And
Katie's
she's
proven
not
many
wrong.
times on Thursday.
The sad thing
She's
is
smarter
Kevin
than
Nash is
always.
what made my mom watch pro wrestling. Like she saw him and she was just like, "I'm invested now," and I'm like, "Oh God."
He played
Yep.
basketball at the University of Tennessee.
Did
Cool.
Shawn Michaels play basketball at the University of Tennessee?
No, Shawn Michaels said, "I'm quitting college to be a pro wrestler."
And he was a great pro wrestler, but he was not the sexiest.
Al, let's move on, please. Me and Matt apparently are going to have it out tonight.
Given all the injuries NXT is dealing with right now, several in the locker room are complaining about the style of training that they have been told to do. A lot of people are just wanting to be able to train on their own.
I heard that there's like a new athletic trainer because like half the women's roster that's injured is all ACL, all the same injury.
I think they should be able to train as much as they want to.
Yeah.
But they want to like go to their own schools and train and not have to train in the performance center.
Well,
Which
you are
is
under contract for that company, so
Well, even above that, it's crazy to hear that because the Performance Center is kind of like the premier place that people for a long time wanted to go to train. Like that was where they wanted to be. So now that they're, and mind you, a lot of these people that are training there, whether they're on TV or they're up and coming, they're, you know, the NIL stars, they're, you know, from other sports who, I mean, I suppose they could have another place to go to train in wrestling, but I mean, I don't know what better training they're going to get than at the Performance Center, especially because WWE has its own style. WWE has a very defined, some people would say overly produced TV presentation of how they like their wrestling. And the only way you're going to learn how to do that is by doing it in the WWE system. So,
I mean, a lot of the main roster guys and gals have their own like little schools and stuff or like trainings that they do. Like Seth and Becky have their own training center. You know, Natty has her own training center with her dude, and so I mean a lot of the main roster do their own like training stuff. So I mean like they could go and train with main roster people and still get that WWE style. That's not, you know, and not train with whoever this new chick is that, or new person is that they brought in that's causing all these girls to get hurt.
I'm not gonna, you know, trash Natalya Neidhart. I'm just gonna say that
It was an example.
the only person I know of that she's trained is Ronda Rousey, and that seems to be going great.
Word.
I think that if you want to be a WWE superstar, you should want to train at the Performance Center because they produce and churn out people through their machine. I think if you want to, and this is my personal opinion about it, I think if you want to hone your skills as a wrestler, then you should hit the indies before you try to go to WWE. I think if you want to be a WWE superstar, go to the Performance Center, try out for WWE because they have a very specific type of wrestler. It's a segue that I want to ask you guys. Matt, specifically, I'm curious about your take on this. Danny Cage is the coach at the Monster Factory. He tweeted after SmackDown on Friday night that AEW and WWE have two very different production styles. WWE shoots theirs like a TV show, and AEW shoots theirs like a sport. Do you think do you guys agree with this? Do you think there's a difference in performance and production based on the styles and companies?
You know I do.
Like how
Yeah.
it's
Told you
shot.
that.
Like not the actual
Yeah.
in-ring work, but how it's shot.
Exactly. No, I have been very clear on this show and on my show when Will's on and multiple conversations that WWE is not professional wrestling. WWE is a TV show that features professional wrestling. It is shot in a way that makes it a TV show, no different than Better Call Saul or Game of Thrones or any other show that you are watching on TV that happens to have wrestling in it. And 9 times out of 10, the in-ring portion of it is not the most important part of the show. It is there as garnish to the stories and everything that they are telling. AEW is kind of the opposite. It is very in-ring work, sports heavy, very story light.
Absolutely.
NXT Black and Gold was the perfect combination of those two that just for whatever reason never took off the way it should have, because it took all of the great things about both the in-ring matches and great things that you see over at AEW with the compelling storytelling you get in WWE, and they put them together in a fantastic, fun little package, and Vince fucked it all up.
Well said.
Agreed.
Cool. Moving on. An upcoming episode of Dark Side of the Ring about Marty Jannetty is said to be unbelievable and mind-blowing. The insane episode will mention the alleged murder that Jannetty has both admitted to and denied.
I'm gonna let Dadhat go first on this one.
I love Dark Side of the Ring. I think it's innovative and it's cool. But just seeing like what has been announced for this next season, there's not a lot of episodes that I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm tuning in for that one. Oh, I'm like, okay, all of them for you. Like, not. I mean, I don't know. Season 1 and 2. What is this? Season 4?
This will be season
Yeah, I think
4.
so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4. Like, even 3, there were somewhere I was like, okay, whatever. I just don't know. Like, and it, I don't know. I mean, Jannetty, sure, but I mean, I'm curious to see how much of that episode is also him complaining that he got shafted. Michaels, became one of the greatest of all time, and he's in the toilet. Like, I don't. It's almost like shoot interviews at this point, just for the sake of shoot interviews.
Yeah.
I like shoot interviews though.
Well, I do too, but I mean,
I like a good car crash. And after seeing Marty Jannetty's social media presence over the last few years, anything on him, I mean, everything he says in social media is unbelievable and ridiculous. So any show trying to get to the truth behind the unbelievable and ridiculousness of the shit that he has said, I'm intrigued to go watch. I'm not gonna lie. I'm with Dadhat. I'm not so much intrigued in the everyone compares the worst wrestler in the tag team to me.
Yeah.
They call it, the murder. Like that part I don't give a fuck about, but like I want to know if we can prove that he murdered someone or not, because I remember reading the tweet when he said it. I was there. I swear he said something about smoking crack and fucking hookers or something. Like he said a bunch of crazy shit.
Yeah, he did.
And I need to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
No, agreed. I think it should definitely be an interesting one. For sure. I've got a couple more things, and then I have like 2 big things to talk about that I wanted to leave for the end. So the couple little quick things. There are reports that Big E is rumored to be part of the draft, which I doubt very highly. What do y'all think?
If it sets up a New Day versus Imperium, give it to me.
But I don't know. I don't know if I believe that he's cleared yet.
Why?
It's been how long has he been out now? A year?
He just had his 1-year checkup, like all of his 1-year scans done. He says that he's been in the gym post surgery like 3 weeks out. Like he had surgery and was back in the gym inside of a month, and he's been working out ever since. So I'm hoping that he's ready to come back, because I would be excited to have Big E
I
back
would
on
be
my
too.
TV.
I just hope that like he's actually ready to come back and he's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Rushing it back.
Yeah, because I don't want him to like be hurt. And like Katie says, Kofi's still out too. So Matt looks perplexed again.
You continue to use this time and let's elevate Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, do I think that Woods will get a WWE champion and they'll have all 3 of them? Highly unlikely. They could just to round it out. But I love Xavier Woods. To me, he has always been my favorite of the group.
I don't see any reason why. Also, him showing up for the draft on Monday, getting drafted, being a surprise, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be in a match on Monday or maybe even anytime soon. We could take a month or two after him being drafted. I mean, Gable Stevens got drafted last year, and I haven't seen him wrestle a fucking match yet. So you never know how long it'll take for people to show up after they've been drafted. So I
didn't remember that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. He's still on Raw as far as I know.
I've got some Gable Stevens news actually coming up.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, Randy Orton is nowhere close to returning after his surgery.
Of course not. When you've got to carry Matt Riddle so hard your back breaks, you're not coming back anytime soon, if ever. He spent more time with Riddle than anyone. That curse has got him all fucked up.
Oh my god. God, I love you. Did y'all know that Nia, Jax, and Charlotte are like best friends?
It's popping up on my TikTok all the time.
It's popping up on my TikTok. I was under the impression that they did not get along, but apparently they're best friends.
Yeah, they're recreating Titanic and shit. And
I was gonna say because of the match that they had.
No, there's just been some stuff that has been said about like things between them, like backstage in the past, and about how like Charlotte would like 100% no sell for Nia because she like hurt her in the ring several times, but like they're best.
Are you
friends.
just trying to get me and Will to fight? You just are. Because Charlotte 100% barely works or no sells for the majority of the women on the roster. That's not just Nia. On a Monday or on a Friday, she's not putting in any effort. She's not trying to get Shotzi Blackheart over in the middle of the ring. She don't give a fuck about half those women. Charlotte gives a fuck about Charlotte. Now, what I will say is maybe after they had their little spat in the middle of the ring, because I know Will's ready to retort. I can see it. He even turned to look at the camera. After they had their little spat in the ring and they slugged it out a little bit, maybe, they worked out some issues and they were able to talk after that. And now they're best friends.
Yeah.
So I can't say anything bad about Charlotte. I love her to death. I went to school with her. Like, I love Charlotte Flair.
Fair enough.
Mr. Gray.
She doesn't sell when she doesn't think it means anything. She's not going to put bullshit over because she has it in her heart. She's going to no-sell if you're giving her bullshit moves to no-sell. She's been very vocal about that in the past. She's not going to put somebody over just because they say put her over. Earn her respect. If she thinks you're trash in the ring, she'll show you she's trash in the ring. And she's one of the greatest female wrestlers to ever do it. She's one of the best wrestlers on their roster, not men or women, just best wrestlers.
She no-sold a twist of fate from Lita. So has Lita not earned her respect? Is Lita not worth her time?
Lita absolutely earned her respect and worth her time, but Charlotte didn't think Lita needed to be in that story.
Oh.
Well, that question was a segue to that Nia has been training and has lost 60 pounds and is working towards coming back full-time in the ring. She looks amazing. It's like two different people. Yeah, I mean, she was beautiful before, but, like, she looks fantastic.
So I've always... Oh, go ahead.
No. I'm saying, see, I'm waiting for your... She's training with Natty. Let me put that out there. She's training with Natty.
Well, that's not going to help with that.
Oh, my God. We're going to get a main event in WrestleMania of Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey, aren't we?
Probably. I've always said that if this is something that Nia Jax wanted to do, then 100% supported. But WWE does have a tendency in the past, and sometimes it's, for health reasons, which is fine, with like Yokozuna or Vader, where they push wrestlers to lose weight. Sometimes it's just they don't think the wrestler is aesthetically pleasing to look at, so then they push them to lose weight. And I am not for body shaming in any way, shape, or form. So if WWE was like, if you want to come back and work for us, you need to lose weight, that I have an issue with.
Yeah.
If it's something that she want to do for her health, and along with that, WWE said, great, cool, we support you, we got you, and, she was coming back regardless, then yeah, no, cool, I'm fine with it, minus the fact that she's training with Natty, because that's not going to help the, busting people's noses open in the ring or anything.
No, I definitely think she's doing it for her. She's been, like, on TikTok, she's been talking about, like, this health journey and stuff. And, like, she's been posting videos of, like, how hard she's been working. I mean, she's still a beautiful, thick lady, but she looks, like, healthy. And she looks very happy. Like, she looks great. She looks like she's at peace with herself, if that makes sense. Like, I think she's not doing it to lose weight. She said, like, she's just doing it to be healthy.
Yeah.
So.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. Okay. My last one before the two big things is just a little funny. And I wanted to see how the three of you would react. Tony Schiavone said this week, Excalibur thinks he is... Excalibur, I think, is one of the best, if not the best, play-by-play men I've ever worked with.
Dementia is a thing, Tony Schiavone, and I know you're getting up in age, so.
Well, I'm trying to think back of who the play-by-play men that he worked with were. You had Zbyszko, you had Bobby Heenan, Mike Tenay a little bit. You know, whenever they needed someone to talk about Japanese wrestling, they brought in Mike Tenay.
I might give him that, because I mean, as big of a WCW fan as I am, I mean, I have a whole damn YouTube channel on it, for crying out loud. His play-by-plays, the Heenans, other than Tenay, would just tangent off all the way to the side and ignore everything that is in the ring. So, I mean, from that aspect, yeah.
Yeah, and Heenan was a far better color commentator than he was play-by-play.
Yeah.
Sure.
Same Zbyszko, again, a character that Tony didn't know the moves, so he couldn't do the play-by-play. And when he worked with JR, on, you know, what a lot of people consider to be the downturn of JR's commentary career, where he didn't give a shit about anything and didn't really care about the product. He was just getting a paycheck. So maybe it is the best play-by-play guy he's ever worked. He worked with Bischoff. Maybe it is.
Bischoff commentary to me is like watching paint dry. That's so horrible.
Well,
I just hope Bischoff doesn't get a job with the NWA and I have to start saying nice things about him when I'm on the show.
The only person that I could think, like, after listening to your guys' list, Gordon Soleil is the only person that I could think would be, like, that would be hard-pressed. And Tony would have been a kid when he would have came up from Florida to Georgia Championship Wrestling. Like, we're talking, like, mid-70s. Like, it's been a minute. Like, so I'd have to agree, like, nah, I don't know. I don't really care much for Excalibur. I think he's kind of a joke.
Red Phoenix.
Red
God,
Phoenix.
I hate that so much.
He's not bad,
FedEx.
but I like Corey Graves more than I do Excalibur.
Let's see. I'm going to see when he started with WCW. So he started Jim Crockett Promotions in broadcast alongside David Crockett in 1983.
That's about the timeline I was thinking. David Crockett wasn't horrible. He wasn't great, but I mean, he wasn't horrible.
He did play-by-play for WWF for SummerSlam '89 and Royal Rumble 1990 alongside Jesse the Body Ventura. And he's worked with Lord Alfred Hayes, Gorilla Monsoon, Hillbilly Jim, Ron Tronger, and Bobby the Brain Heenan in WWF.
I don't know. I love Monsoon at the desk.
The only one we left off in WCW was Mark Madden.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the last one on your list?
No, I mean, I've got the two big things, which are, you know. So, Trips revealed a new belt.
Love it.
The Universal, brouhaha is going to stay with Roman Reigns on SmackDown. And the new heavyweight, what's the official name? The
WWE World's Heavyweight.
Heavyweight.
Yeah. It's going to be on Raw. And big surprise! Cody Rhodes was drafted to Raw. It's like they made this belt for Cody Rhodes. Because, I don't know, maybe this is actually the belt. You know, because it was the World Heavyweight title that Dusty wanted. And not, you know, whatever the fuck belt that Roman has. So, let's talk about the new belt.
Our buddy Jay Knows Wrestling mentioned this off air to us the other night, and I agree with him after actually getting a chance to actually look at it close up. It looks tailor made for Cody. You've got the globe behind the WWE. It looks like the big gold. It's like everything Dusty combined with WWE into one belt. I just don't know. Like, I wouldn't give it to Cody first off.
They're going to. You know they are.
I think that tarnishes him becoming a world champion. I'm sorry, like with that, like he needs to overcome something like a Roman, get that big victory, not just. But I'm just like, go ahead and announce how we're going to get to this champion. Like, it better be in a one-night tournament.
I like him. I really do.
Well, I've got a whole thing on TikTok. I didn't get a chance to finish it this weekend. I as much as I love King of the Ring, I want them to bring back the 1998 Survivor Series Deadly Games tournament for this. Like, the whole look of it and everything. It's my favorite damn pay-per-view of all time. But I want here's a couple matches and we get, like, you know, the finals of the pay-per-view. Give me the whole damn pay-per-view is the tournament. You want a champion that Tripp says that the person's going to earn this belt? Okay, cool. That person wrestles four times in a night.
My co-host, or kind of co-host, partner in crime, Travis, Lord Cussler, Travis Pointer, has maintained the same thing. He does not appreciate anything that's been the King of the Ring since they stopped doing the tournament one night. He hates the fact that all of the matches take place and it's just the finals. He says that's not really becoming King of the Ring doing it that way. He can't stand that. And no, I agree. However, I also agree that I don't care what the belt looks like. I mean, it also is Triple H brought it back, and that was the title that is most synonymous with Triple H. That was the title he was carrying through the majority of his, you know, reign of terror when he brought, you know, Randy Orton, Benoit, Batista, all of those guys and all of the things he did. He was carrying that belt. That was his belt. So it makes sense for me, or to me, for him to bring that back and put that on Raw where he was with that title. You didn't give us Cody winning at WrestleMania. You got us all hyped. He won the Rumble. He did all these things. If he doesn't beat Roman, if he doesn't win Money in the Bank and cash in on Roman, if he doesn't beat Roman, then it kind of tarnishes that whole run that he had and that WrestleMania main event. Everyone kept telling me the story doesn't end there. You know, his story doesn't finish there. He has to overcome and he has to do these things so that he can beat Roman. But if you just shove him off on Raw and give him a different title, that invalidates everything I said about how terrible decision it was, but it invalidates everything that he's done to get to that point by just giving him that World Heavyweight title and not letting him be the one to beat Roman.
Honestly, I think they should have just never done this story with him and Roman if they knew that they were going to put this belt out, because this would have been the belt for him anyways, because this is the belt that his dad wanted. So, like, they should have just put somebody else against Roman and not even done the Roman Cody thing to begin with.
Or split the titles and then changed it after the draft.
Could have done that too, but, you know, logic.
I like the new belt.
I love it. It looks great.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if they book it right going into this tournament tonight at Champions, I don't see anything wrong with having two titles. I do give WWE a lot of flack because at one point they had like 5 world titles active inside their company across all their brands. So I think if they're going to do a proper brand split, you have to have 2 different titles. You have to have something to fight for on each brand. So I think this is a good way to do it, and I like the new belt, so it works. Just don't suck with how you book the tournament. Like, give us a tournament that makes sense.
They need to give Roman one belt now, because now him carrying 2 belts makes literally no
I
sense.
agree. I agree with that.
And
Yep.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we also need to have 2 Money in the Bank winners. There needs to be a Raw. There needs to be a SmackDown Money in the Bank winner.
Well,
But that
yes
also
and no.
muddies it, because then you're going to have 2 women's too.
So the winner of the Royal Rumble can challenge anyone on any
That's
brand.
true too. That's true too.
So that would be a nice caveat for the Money in the Bank, is you can choose the champion you want to cash in on.
From your
And
brand.
once you cash in on that brand, if you win the title, you are now officially on that brand, and the former champion takes your spot on the other, if they did it correctly. But I'm not there to, pay attention to continuity and slap Vince every time he says something stupid. So that's probably not going to happen. But the other thing that I think they need to do, because you guys mentioned it earlier about, Rhea's probably going to get drafted to Raw and they're going to do a title spot. Don't do that. Rebrand those titles as the WWE Women's Championship or Women's Universal Championship and the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
And that way they have separate lineages. If you get drafted to a brand, the World Heavyweight Championship for the women goes to the, whatever brand that it goes to.
Well, they
The
wouldn't
Universal
call it
Women's
heavyweight
Championship.
because that's negative towards women to call them a heavyweight.
They could just call it the WWE World Champion and the WWE Universal Women's Champion.
There you
Like,
I like that.
yeah.
Well, they're saying they're doing the same thing with the tag titles. It's going to be the Universal Tag Team Championships and the World Tag Team Championships.
Exactly. So rebrand those women's titles. So that way it's not I'm the SmackDown champion, so I need the blue belt now. Like, come on.
Well, let's talk
What's up,
about draft things. I will say from the first couple of ones, like, it has been pretty freaking predictable where everybody's going. Like, when they announced this new belt, I literally said that Cody was going wherever Roman is not. Like, I knew the moment they announced that belt that that's what was going to happen.
I did not. I really thought they were going to keep those two together so we
No
could get
way.
the end of that feud. And I was kind of annoyed when they didn't.
Yeah. Noob in the chat, or here's another option: have Bianca drop the Raw Women's title to Io Sky.
I am ready for that Bianca title run to end.
I think she's
And-
ready for a break too.
If Rhea gets drafted to SmackDown on Monday and predictions are incorrect and both women's champions are on SmackDown, I would not be surprised if come Backlash, because the brand split does not go into effect until after Backlash, we see Damage Control and Io Sky walking out with that title and bringing it back to Raw.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Then Bianca won't be champion, and we can start working that Bianca Rhea feud that everyone wanted instead of, the Charlotte Rhea one that we got, but was I'm not going to say it wasn't a fantastic match. It was a fucking great match, Will. When Charlotte wants to wrestle once a year, she really puts on a damn good show.
I don't know. I think it's kind of lame that they're doing this draft like alongside the NFL draft. Like, come on.
My wife, who does not follow wrestling, said the exact same thing.
Like,
She was like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "SmackDown. They're doing the draft." She's like, "At the same time as the NFL draft?" I'm like, and she's like, "Ooh, exciting."
yeah.
However, counterpoint to that, the issue with the way they did the draft prior to this was they did it right before Survivor Series, and then everyone complained, how can you have brand loyalty for a show going into Survivor Series when you just got drafted to that show? You haven't
Right.
been a part of it. It always made sense to me that if you're going to do a yearly draft, you do it after WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the end of the year, the end of the build
yeah.
of stories and everything. So after WrestleMania should be when I would do it the Monday after WrestleMania.
I agree with that. Yeah, it should be the
Because-
next night.
The Monday after WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania was always important, and it has not felt important. What would make it important?
Shake up.
WrestleMania is over. Next night, start the draft.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just think it's funny that it like lined up with the NFL draft.
And they probably did that on purpose.
Mhm.
And that 100%.
You know, and it's predictable that like the their intercontinental title and the U.S. title are swapping places. They do that every draft. They swap them back and forth. You know, what I do think is weird is like them packaging groups of people. Like, oh, you're drafted as a group. Like,
Well, they've done that before.
Yeah.
They did that in the original draft.
tag teams, I think, are fine. But like packaging Solo with Roman Reigns, I think is a little dumb.
It's a faction.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Or like Damage Control altogether. Like, should they
Yeah.
have to draft Bailey
Imperium.
separately?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
The Street Profits got drafted together. Even I.
Hey,
predicted
now that was
they
my
would-
other pissed off for greatness moment.
I swear I've said my big prediction for the draft was Montez and Dawkins were going to get split up.
And I've been telling you every time you say that for weeks that they have both said that they will not be splitting up. But what do I know?
I want a heel Montez and a heel Bianca together on TV.
I think it'd be good.
Noob says, I know that a lot of fans of Asuka and Io Sky want this match badly, but to do the feud to shut them up and they'll be either happy or pissed off about the result. I'd love to see them go at it. That would be
Oh yeah.
I will say, because you said, they always swap the titles. In my personal opinion, aesthetically, I have always thought that the U.S. title paired better with the WWE Championship and the Intercontinental title paired better with the World Heavyweight Championship. When I look at the Intercontinental title and the World Heavyweight Championship, there's an aesthetic there that they kind of fit well on the same show together, and same thing with the U.S. title and the WWE or Universal Championship. I really hope that they go to the WWE Championship and just call it the WWE Universal, because I hate the colored straps.
Yeah.
I say that as I have a pair of blue tag team belts behind me. But no, I've never liked the colored straps to define the brands, or like I said, the women's belts with the red and the blue in the background, because red for Raw, blue for SmackDown. Like, I like the uniqueness of the World Heavyweight title and of the Intercontinental title, so those pairing together well works for me.
Yeah. Going back to the belt for 1 second, like everyone's complaining about like the logo being where, like, do they know what the title looks like now? Like, it's
and
only
every
the
brand.
W. Yeah, and every brand puts their logo on the
ROH
belt.
is in the dead center. Like, AW, dead center. Like,
Yeah,
it's stupid.
it is.
I don't know.
It's a business. They
I was
want
gonna
their
say-
Nike is on every product you buy. Under Armour is on every in a prominent place. Same difference, people.
Don't the Impact belts just have a giant impact on them as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Almost all of
The only one
them
that doesn't
do
is the
right across
NWA.
center.
Yeah. But back to draft things. I'm interested to see what they're going to do in NXT, considering all their women's champions
Hey,
are
thanks, Tommy.
now drafted to the main roster.
That was an interesting choice.
Yeah, I think it's a weird choice. It's like you're drafting all of your champions to the main roster for them to get buried behind Bianca and Becky and Bailey and Rhea.
Of all the
Or-
NXT people, that they were not the ones I thought they were going to be drafted. Of all the NXT talent, those were not who I saw going up first.
True. I agree. I mean, I've said Indy going up to be with the Way makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That fits. I love what I've dubbed Team Firecrotch, Alba and Isla. And we need women's tag teams for that tag team division. All we have is, thrown together singles wrestlers who had nothing better to do. So having an actual tag team come up works, is nice. You weren't going to get Toxic Attraction. They broke them up. So, this works. I kind of am surprised they didn't pull the trigger on Caden and Katana instead of Alba and Isla. But, I mean, Alba Fire does have that pedigree of being the longest reigning women's NXT UK champion, coming over here, winning the tag team title, so on and so forth. So bringing her up made sense. And if you're going to bring her up, you bring Isla with her. Yeah, we'll see.
I just hope they don't get buried, because You know, that's what WWE and AEW both do to women. They bury them. Like, I'd rather them stay in NXT and actually see TV time than I maybe see them once a month in some sort of bullshit, giant women's 5-way, whatever. You know what I mean?
I love you a good women's 5-way.
Me too. Tommy brings up a good point. Ilya and Braun both not getting drafted. They were both on my short list of NXT.
I see it tomorrow. I see it happening tomorrow.
And Katie says Zoe is going to thrive on the main roster. I put her in my list of people that are going to elevate the shit out of that women's mid-card. So that's a good call for sure.
And Tommy, JD McDonough, that is a future world champion, my friend. I loved me some JD McDonough.
I called him Baby Finn Balor the other night during a mock draft.
Okay, now I can't unsee that.
Well, he was trained by Finn in Ireland.
Yeah.
Like, he comes from his school. So I called it when he was Jordan Devlin. I said he was a baby Finn Balor. That's always what I've said he was, even back when he was Jordan Devlin. So I still think he's
Finn
Great
Balor. He's a
guy.
Finn Balor bobblehead.
I just wanted him to pull the trigger
Katie
on
just said
Grayson
bobblehead
Waller.
with
Like, bring Grayson Waller up to the main roster. He's ready.
Tommy brings up Pretty Deadly and the Creed Brothers, both as tag teams he thought may be coming up as well.
Oh, Pretty Deadly will come up on Monday. They wrote them off NXT. They're sleeping with the fishes, so we will definitely see them coming up. And honestly, if Seth Rollins wanted to start a faction, Pretty Deadly and Seth Rollins,
Perfect.
Come on.
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, Mr. Gray, we can talk about your things now.
Well, the WWE side of things, that was a very broad stroke for April. So I've got a few things to go over for them, but a few things in AEW. During the month of April, we saw Adam Cole return, and we saw him start building a feud with Chris Jericho. Just out of curiosity, how are you guys feeling about Adam Cole and Chris Jericho?
I understand guys like Ricky Starks, Sammy Guevara, MJF competing against Chris Jericho to kind of build themselves up and, have that I beat Chris Jericho under their belt, even though I personally don't feel like beating Chris Jericho in 2023 means nearly as much as it did when AEW started. Adam Cole, and I've gone on record saying this.
More in the damn t-shirt.
Is not one of the guys that needed a Chris Jericho win to legitimize him in AEW at all. This is more for Jericho than it is. And I'm not saying Jericho needs a feud with actually I am. Jericho needs a feud with Adam Cole to keep Jericho relevant because there's no one left on the roster for him to feud with until maybe CM Punk comes back and they do that one because that's going to have to happen. That warrants him being in the spotlight and being important and doing Jericho things. He, as much as you want to say, he's letting these wrestlers win and he's elevating these wrestlers, and he is at the end of the feud, he is absolutely letting a lot of these wrestlers get wins over Chris Jericho to end the feuds, which is great. He's doing it to feed his own ego. He's doing it because he's kind of become a baby Hulk Hogan. He needs that spotlight, and he's finding anyone and everyone that he can stick himself with to keep him in that spotlight and keep him near the top of that company when really he's not as relevant or a big of a deal in that company as he thinks he is at this point.
Yeah, Jericho, I've said it for the better part of 6 months, if not a year. I need Jericho to go away for a while. I need him to go away, take some time off, come back. But yeah, I agree with you that this is all for Jericho. Adam Cole could be feuding with so many other people. I would rather have an Adam Cole Ricky Starks feud, an Adam Cole MJF feud. I mean, there's so many people with Adam Cole that I'd like to see because I'm such a big fan. And with Chris Jericho, I'm just like, who cares? Like, I just don't.
I mean, we need an Adam battle, We need Adam Page versus Adam Cole.
Tommy says Adam Cole, Christian Cage, maybe.
That's about as useless as Chris Jericho versus Adam Cole. Christian Cage at this point is just the manager of Luchasaurus, and Luchasaurus has got war on his mind with the TNT title. He's probably, they'll probably put the belt on him within a couple weeks, and hot potato that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, they're. I mean, you look at. I understand that they're busy but anyone in the elite, anyone in the BCC, even guys that should be higher up on the card but aren't. Adam Cole versus Malachi Black, Adam Cole versus Keith Lee, Adam Cole versus Jay White instead of whatever they're doing with Ricky Stark. Like, there are plenty of guys out there that Adam Cole could be feuding with in his first feud coming back that I would actually be excited to watch. Jericho is a very low contender on that list.
Mm-hmm. With Roddy coming back, again, this is fantasy booking. If we could have the four of them back all together, they were the Undisputed Elite. Give me that in the BCC.
Or, I mean,
and BCC.
You could do a three-way, whatever they're calling themselves, the Golden Bullet Club or Golden whatever, Bang Bang Twins or whatever. If they get their third guy, if they get El Phantasmo, if you get the Elite, and then you get the three members of Undisputed Era, that's a three-way feud with everyone that's got some sort of history and tie-in together that could be really entertaining and interesting.
I just don't care about them bringing the Bullet Club to AEW. Like, it's so watered down from what it used to be with this and that and that. Like, I don't know. I wish with Jay White they would have just. Okay, yes, you were in Bullet Club. It was part of your resume, but you are beyond that now. Like,
well, he got outed as in Bullet Club. Like, that was the whole point of the way Bullet Club works. Is when you get ready to leave Japan, they kick you out. And then somebody else takes over the club so it can keep going. Jay White got kicked out and said he's not the leader anymore. Then he came over here and started a new version of it. This is like NWO Wolfpack, sort of.
It is.
Yeah.
Too many people, too muddy, too hard to keep up with.
Wolfpack was my favorite version of the NWO, though. So
I mean, I was big.
Did you like Red
music,
Flag,
the colors?
Yeah.
They got Sting for real.
Some other AEW news from July, from April. FTR back. They won the tag titles. I'm hyped for about that. Really love FTR in the tag division. I think they're great selections. They said they're in AEW until they're ready to go and retire. Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, though, building to a feud for them for the tag titles. Do we give a shit at all about Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett in the tag division of AEW? No.
Well, I love Jeff Jarrett, so.
I love Jay
Lethal. But I don't care. I don't care about them as a tag team, and they should not be chasing tag team gold.
I feel like they do Jay Lethal dirty sometimes. Like, I know he loves working. I know he loves working with Jeff Jarrett, and they do a lot of stuff together, like on the indie scene and stuff. But like he's so much better than what they give him.
I agree with that. I think Jay Lethal's the bee's knees.
No, Mike, no one has talked about David Arquette. Actually, that's not true. We did talk about David Arquette a little bit earlier.
We did bring up David Arquette tonight.
We did.
Matt, why do you look
Jeff
so
Jarrett's
tonight?
Jeff Jarrett's entire career has been Jeff Jarrett thinking that he is Ric Flair, thinking that he is Hulk Hogan, and then proving that he is not.
That's why I love him so much.
You look at his run in WCW when he was part of the Four Horsemen and he was trying to be baby Ric Flair. You look at his run in later WCW when he ran NWO Black and Silver and the company into the ground. You look at him being King of the Mountain in TNA, which that did so well. That was great for him. All of these things, and now he's here doing the same old shit in AEW that Chris Jericho and Christian Cage and all these guys are doing, which isn't, again, really elevating anyone. And I have no interest in seeing him in the tag team division. I have no interest in seeing him in the singles division. I am very interested in seeing how he books things from a backstage perspective for venues and things like that, because I feel like that's where his actual worth is. I don't need to see him coming out in 2023 and calling people slap nuts and hitting them with guitars. I don't. I really don't.
Will did some math for me a couple weeks back about Jeff Jarrett's guitar budget.
I did. I wish I had it. I have the text message thread, but I'd have to go back through it. I had a what was the final number? Do you remember?
I'll see if I can find it.
I found in an interview he said somebody had asked him the question, how many guitars do you think you broke throughout your career, blah blah blah. So I averaged it out, how many guitars he broke throughout his career, divided through the years, blah blah blah, all of that. And I got it to come out and average. WCW, the interesting fact there, WCW only bought name brand guitars. He was breaking Fenders and Gibsons and Epiphones and shit like that.
Oh, I found it.
How many?
I found it.
Oh, you
Okay,
did?
so your text said Jarrett was active in the ring from 86 to 2021. During that time, he broke approximately 6,000 guitars. He recently said in an interview he paid zero out of pocket. It was all the company. He also said WCW used higher quality name brand guitars. So taking that roughly 6,000 guitars and dividing it equally between his 35 years is 171 guitars a year. He was in WCW for 5 years of his career, assuming those were an average of 275 for a decent name brand acoustic guitar. Means WCW spent roughly 40,000 on guitars. The other 30 years at 171 guitars a year at around 100 each brings the grand total around a cold $500,000 on guitars throughout his career.
You know what I just heard?
What?
I heard that they spent more money on guitars for him to smash over people's heads than he ever drew in wrestling. That's what I heard.
That was probably true.
You
What up,
think
All Wrestling?
$500,000? You think he's not worth $500,000?
No, I'm saying I don't think he's drawn $500,000 in 30 years. I didn't say he's not worth it. Over 30 years, I'm sure he's been worth $500,000, but he didn't draw $500,000 in 30 years. Nobody I knew was buying WCW pay-per-views in the late 2000s to see Jeff Jarrett main event. For Jeff Jarrett, specifically. Okay, one person I now know was buying WCW pay-per-views in the late or the early 2000s.
He was one of the few things to me that was keeping me watching it in those later
I
years.
can't wait till we get that on WCW.
Nice to meet you as well. Also,
What's up, Mike? He says hi to everybody, by the way.
are you going to talk about Jeff Hardy?
He's on my list.
Great. Okay.
That was woo.
This was a new thing we were trying a month in review. This sucks because the whole point of Botched Spots and Share Shots is I don't talk about shit I don't want to talk about. So like this probably won't be coming back.
Lord. It's basically just another anything goes, but or like a rehashing of all of my news and rumors from the month.
That's kind of how I feel, but I do have a few more that I want to bring up that weren't on your news and rumors, and one of them is Gable Stevens. I'm not actually going to make you talk about Jeff Hardy, Matt. I'm sorry. Gable Stevenson is back in U.S. Open competition in Greco-Roman and amateur wrestling. He's not back in WWE right now. He is still on their active roster and under contract, but he's still competing with Team USA in the U.S. Open. Do you guys think we're ever getting Stevenson in Connecticut in a WWE ring?
Yes. I don't know. Knowing WWE, I don't see why they would be paying him if they are not eventually going to put him in a wrestling ring for their product to draw money. I don't see them paying him to go do Greco-Roman wrestling and carry the WWE banner, to never get him on TV, to never bring those eyes that they're trying to draw with him to their product. So I absolutely think at some point we're going to see him. When? I don't know. Is it going to be a one-off? Is it going to be a match at WrestleMania? Maybe. If I chose, it would be against Chad Gable versus Gable in a real wrestling fucking match, because I think that would bang.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they pay half the roster to not be on TV as it is.
That's true.
They
True.
put them on TV when they feel that they need to use them.
When was
But
the last time we saw R-Truth on TV?
Too
I've
long
seen
ago.
It was a long time ago, and they're paying him, but we have seen him on TV. I'm saying they're not going to pay Gable Stevenson to never put him on TV.
You never know. They pay all these legends, then never put them on TV.
They use them for other things. They use them for documentaries and all sorts of different shit.
Fair.
So they're on TV.
Nick Khan gave WWE office staff 2 weeks notice that everybody's coming back full time to office life. All the remote workers were given their notice. They can't work remotely anymore. Nick Khan says you're coming back to the office. What do you guys think about that? WWE corporate saying no more remote work. Y'all are coming back.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing, like, they were talking about how, like, all these people are, like, upset about, like, having to come back to the office. Like, it's been 3 years, y'all. Like, aren't most places, like, back at the office? Like, I don't understand, like, why they're really whining about this. Like, y'all got, like, more at home time than anybody.
I work remotely, and I don't want to go back ever into the office.
Same with my wife.
I save money on gas. I'm here, which means I can cook my own lunch. I'm not having to grab something. Like, if my wife and kids are here, I get to see them on my lunch break, which kind of is like a recharging, and I can help my wife out. Like, on my lunch, I can, knock out, emptying the dishwasher, doing laundry. Like, it helps for the remainder of the time. Like, I get more family time outside of work because I'm not doing the stupid household stuff.
Right. No, I mean, like,
But
I
I'd be
get
pissed.
the reasons they want to stay home. Like, I can work from, like, at my job. Like, the rule is, like, you have to show your face in the office at least once a week. I generally go into the office most of the week just because I like to be out of the house, me personally. Like, I want away from the home. But I don't know. I feel like for them though, like, they knew that at some point they were going to have to go back. Like, again, it's been 3 years.
No,
Like,
they did not. When this happened and everything went well and productivity was up, there was no reason to bring them back other than the fact that these companies now own these buildings that they didn't have people in. And some of them had some people in, but they didn't obviously need the big buildings. Let me put it to you like this, Allison. Let's say you were on a schedule to get Dick from Will once a month, right? And then all of a sudden, for 3 years, you were getting it once a week. And Will said, you know what? We're going to go back to once a month. You going to be bothered by that? They're going to bother
I
you?
feel like that's a bit different.
It's not.
Oh my God.
It's not.
I just like how Will's got his head. I'm going to turn my head this way.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, a job is a job. Like, if you don't like it, then leave your job. Like, if you don't want to go back in the office, like, it is what it is. Like, to be, like, I get, like, being upset about it, but, like, it is what it is. Like, if you don't like it, don't work here.
They gave them a perk and they were taking it away. That's exactly what it is.
That's any job. Really.
They'll get a pizza party when they get back.
They'll get a pizza party.
I mean, the only reason that it's news is because, like, WWE is doing something bad again. Like, any other company making their employees come back, like, this would not be news. Like,
Well, the issue is that they gave them 2 weeks of notice that they had to come back. A lot of people's lives have changed over the course of 3
Fair.
years, too.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks notice to, hey, adjust everything and figure all your shit out isn't a lot of notice to be prepared to go do that when it's going to, you've got children. Now you have, if you're working from home, you're able to spend time with those kids and watch them. Now you've got 2 weeks to find alternative care for your children, to have them be watched.
Yep.
And all, it was the short notice of it, I think, more so than the, hey, you have to return to the office.
yeah.
And that's one of our big things is like, we moved, we're happy. We, my wife's home, so we don't need to find, care for the full hours that she's at work and all these things. And if she were to have to go back in the office, all that would change. And that's, again, Now, money out of your pocket for gas, money out of your pocket for food, and money out of your pocket for childcare that you didn't have before. So that's adjusting your financing as well after 3 years. There's a lot of factors that go into going into the office other than, and some people don't like seeing people.
Yeah.
Also true.
I hate people. Hate people.
I hate Jeff Hardy, just randomly. It was asked in the chat. I have never understood the appeal of Jeff Hardy, why everyone thinks he's so great. He is not a good promo. He is a high spot at best. He's not a great in-ring technician. I get that he's a charismatic enigma, but it never worked for me, so I could give two shits that he came back if he stayed away. I'm more curious as to how he's getting to work every day.
I'm sure he rides with his brother.
Or Ubers.
Or Ubers.
John Morrison. John Morrison said he wants to come back to AEW with his wife Taya. You think Johnny Nitro is ready to come back to AEW? Do you care, John Morrison, Matt?
I didn't know he was gone from AEW.
He's been working tour dates with MLW. He did some stuff. MLW, Major League Wrestling.
What's that?
They're a promotion based out of California. They're
Where can I watch them?
They're on. Who is
Fight.
it? Are they on Fight? They're on Fight. They also have a TV deal now.
They do.
You
can watch them on YouTube.
Yeah, they've got a YouTube deal with YouTube TV.
I can watch AEW Dark on YouTube. I don't do that. I ain't gonna go watch MLW on YouTube.
Okay. Well, he was.
It's good though. MLW's good.
It's getting there. They had some tour dates with him, but he's hinting since Taya debuted that he's hinting that he's going to come over to AEW. Any input on that?
Cool.
Yeah, kind of how I feel. He just boxed and won at Creator Clash a few weeks ago. He did have a boxing match. He knocked out a guy. He said that was one thing that Triple H and The Undertaker never did was win a real fight.
What?
Well, he did an interview I saw where somebody was like, "Do you want to go back to WWE?" And he was like, "I would. I hate it there, but I would." And everybody's like, "Well, why would you go back if you hate it?" He's like, "It's what you dream about as a kid. You want to do this, and you have all these aspirations of doing it. So to not actually get there and do those aspirations, you want to be there, but it sucks."
Yeah. Him and Miz were always so great together too.
I was gonna say it's a lot of tough talk for a guy who didn't win Tough Enough. That's all I'm saying.
He did really good on Survivor though.
Oh, great.
Hey, I love Survivor. I've seen every episode of every season.
That's good.
I think we've done all the damage we can do. That's it. We're done.
You done?
Done. Matt.
I talked about your dick, so I'm happy.
Hey, that's always that's my pleasure, Matt. I thank you for that. Matt, plug your stuff. Tell everybody what's going on at Smacking It Raw and getting off.
Every Friday at 11 p.m. Central Time, you can catch Smacking It Raw live on YouTube and Twitch. We are the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub. We are not live on Pornhub, but you can also catch the replay if you weren't able to catch us live there at pornhub.com/model/creation world. Every week we spit and swallow the week in wrestling. We recently just dropped an episode where we smashed or passed the draft, and we will be doing the same thing for part 2 of the draft next Friday for everything that happens tomorrow. So come check us out. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Matt Ridder, MATTRIDDER on Twitter only. And if you're a horror fan, we have at Getting Off, and you can follow that on Twitter as well. We have a watch along that Will Gray joined us for. That is a Pornhub exclusive of the movie Evil Head, where we do Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of watch along and make fun of that show. I was not there. The Rack was there, but Will was there. Katie was there. We had a good time doing that. And our recent review of Evil Dead Rise with me, Katie, and Reek from Young Kings Wrestling is also up. Katie, of course, from She-League Showcase.
Woo woo.
Dadhat, plug your stuff, sir.
Of course, yeah. So I am at Dadhat Wrestling on pretty much every social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me Wednesday nights, twitch.tv/WrestleTalkWolfpack. where it's me and Self Bet Wrestling, the Ginger Ninja Jaxbo, and Bree.Stout. 4 friends talking about what's going on in the week of wrestling, what's coming up. And then you can find the Will Gray and myself every not a specific day, but every week we drop a new episode of World Championship Wreckage. You can find us on Twitter, WC Wreckage Pod, Instagram, World Championship Wreckage, YouTube, World Championship Wreckage. Coming up, we have got the next episode we're going to be recording is all about the WCW managers, from the Cornettes to the Sensational Sherrys to the Paulie Dangerously. And one thing that we do each and every week on our social media is the audience gets to choose what we talk about. So Will and I throw out topics. We throw the poll on our social medias. You get to vote. For the next episode coming up, you've got a couple more hours. That poll closes at midnight. You can choose between either the unofficial brand split of Nitro and Thunder or the main events of World War III. So if you want to vote, WC Wreckage Pod on Twitter.
Al?
Oh, me. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at JustAGirl918. I've got some funny TikToks going. I've recently gone down this random MJF rabbit hole where I found a bunch of videos of him as a little kid. I mean, apparently, like, Punk already talked about it in a promo, but, like, he was on the Rosie O'Donnell show when he was 5, and it is the most precious thing I have ever seen in my life. He wanted to be an opera singer, and he sang, his favorite song was You Are My Sunshine, and it is adorable. And I also found, like, some YouTube videos of him in high school, like, in his high school, like, a cappella group. Like, he can sing. Like, so. But yeah, so, follow my stuff and things.
You do any stop motion?
I do stop motion.
No, did he? Because you haven't put out any stop motion, so I was wondering if he had something I could go watch.
Life has been crazy recently. I'm gonna get back. I say this all the time. I'm gonna get back to doing the comic, and I want to start doing like a stop motion with it. So my goal for this summer is to make sure that I get back on the comic.
You heard her. We'll cut her back to once a month until she gets some stop motion out.
Miss Gray.
Shout outs. Follow the Queen's Takeover Pod. Follow Get Your Podcast. That's our boy Jus. Follow everything at its creation world. That's Lord Cussalot, Travis Pointer, SES Vince, Mara the Shark Watkins, our boy Matt Ridder, Katie Kinsey Baby at Katie Wrestling 13. Follow the Bloodline Entertainment Network. That's Tim King's operation. Follow Ted the Hillbilly Heel and Wrestling with the Truth podcast. Follow Cole TV, that's Mr. B-Roll and XLJ, the OG. And follow Jalen on the Beats, that's _ Hill Tactics. That's Justin. If you hear any of the intros or outros on any of our shows here at Rivet City Radio, Smacking It Raw, Shield Elite, to all of our friends, he's the guy behind the beats. Other than that, we've got some stuff. Join the Discord. I just put the link in the chat. Join the Discord, Botched and Chair Shots. It'll be a place to get some new news, what's going on. Leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening to your podcast. I think that's it. Big news. We partnered with Angry Lemonade. There will be a Botched and Chair Shots merch shop coming out this coming week, where it'll be an exclusive place to get all of your Botched and Chair Shots, Rivet City Radio, Hot Like Sauce Barbecue, all of the little umbrellas that are under what we do here. All of that merch will be located in one place with at Angry Lemonade. But I think that's it, guys. I think that's it.
Yeah. Isn't there like a thing? I don't know.
But now, as we close another episode of Botched and Chair Shots, I want to take a minute. Thank you for listening. Remind you to go wherever you do anything on the internet. Like, follow, subscribe, unsubscribe, then subscribe again. Leave a comment telling me how great I am or how terrible I sound. Either way, it helps the algorithm. It helps find new listeners. If you're feeling really generous to be one of the VIP people, head over to patreon.com and donate. Rivet City Radio Podcast Network. You get some fantastic swag. We get some fantastic guests. It's a win-win for the Warden Matt Ridder, for Dadhat Wrestling, and for the Boss Bitch. I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.
Bye-bye.